I think this will be the pilot episode. People won't even know who Cousin Blaze is. So
Cousin Blaze.
So how about Welcome to Tea with my Uncle Irohs. Lazy Susan style conversations with mentors and musicians that have inspired me over the years. I'm your host, Son of Paper. For those who may not know me or Uncle Iroh, I apologize for the niche reference and applaud your open-mindedness to try out a new pod. My name is Son of Paper, and I'm a 23-year-old rapper from San Francisco, California. Uncle Iroh is a character in Avatar who my generation has deemed the most wise and patient mentor ever. I see our world as Prince Zuko-like, divided and misguided, but with so much goodness trapped inside. And so this season, I sat down with my uncles and aunties to pick their brains on how to best navigate this planet with wisdom, grace, and compassion. And what better beverage for conversation than tea?
So I'm Cousin Blaze because I am cousin to Kyle. And I'm also a member of the Paper Mache, his Son of Paper. Check him out, streaming on all platforms. I generally help where I can. I'm based here in Seattle, though I actually used to live in San Francisco. And once upon a long time ago, I actually used to go to Cameron House occasionally. And I always just remembered having such a fun time there and always being just absolutely welcomed in. And it was always good for me. It was really beneficial for my well-being, I suppose that's it. I think that's a good little who I am. You know what I'm saying? Favorite color is blue. I like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great color,
My name's Laurene.
Yeah, sure.
Family name is Chan, but in Chinese, actually, I'm a Lao. I serve as the Director of Youth Ministries at Donaldina Cameron House in San Francisco's Chinatown. And I, along with my partner here, who will introduce himself later, we were invited to tea by Kyle. And let's toast Kyle first.
We can toast.
Yay!
Yay!
Kyle, we've known since he was born. And we both have different relationships with his mom, but I grew up with his mom, Sabrina, and she has always been an amazing woman in so many different ways. And what's so special, we grew up together at Cameron House. We're both members at the Presbyterian Church in Chinatown, and we're also Tai Chi sisters. And our teacher, one of our common teachers, is Chris Zhang, and we're also doing this new class together called Cross Tao and Dharma, and how we can be such a more healthy and together people if we continue to find ways, and in this case, across faith. Yeah, there it is, the Tao Te Ching. Across faith traditions, to find what is common and what ties us together instead of keeps us apart. And well, I could keep going, but I'll stop there. But so we know Kyle through community and through his mom, Sabrina.
Mm-hmm. I know Kyle through his mom, Sabrina, too. My name is Corey. And once upon a time, I don't know if you know this or Kyle knows this.
New story coming out.
Your mom asked me to take her to her winter ball. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
You know that? Okay, yeah. How about that? So I know your mom since maybe before she was middle school. Maybe I knew her in elementary school as a leader, at Cameron House. I was a day camp leader. But I've been going to Cameron House since I was in third grade. I was a kid there, went to club there on Friday nights, became a summer leader, did that several times. And then I was a day camp director there. And then I did that a few times, and then there was this long break, and then a few years ago, you asked me to help teach at after school program, BAP, because we needed some teachers, and I don't even know if I could still relate to the kids, but it was it was one of the best experiences, even though I had a really challenging first week. Being around the youth made me feel a lot younger again, and got in better shape, actually. So I was with them during the whole school year, and did it again. And then they asked me to be a summer, now they call it coordinator, for their summer program for the kids. So there's hundreds of kids in the yard, and I had my own team of leaders again. And it was really 3 of the best summers I've ever had again. And would have done it again this past summer, except for COVID. So I really feel I wish the kids could have had their summer. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could have had another team of leaders so I could get close to and support and lift up more of these kids who, some of them, they come from good families and they're okay. And some kids, they don't. And Cameron House happens to be one of the places that youth can go to be with people that are perhaps more understanding or more supportive of who they are, and accept them for however they are, their character or what they believe in. I loved being a part of that, and I want to teach or be a part of teaching other kids to kind of appreciate that thing, because it makes our lives so much richer without money, just richer.
Yes.
And a lot of people haven't yet been made to, I guess, appreciate that or understand that. And that's too bad, because it's so much easier to be appreciative than it is to be wealthy. Yeah. Everybody can be appreciative. Not everybody can be super rich.
Yeah, it's all perspective, and I think a lot of that has to do with culture, particularly, and that's what I always appreciate. Like, among many things that I appreciated about Cameron House, the other thing I always loved about it is exactly what you said. I always had a very hard time fitting in as a kid, and I didn't relate very well to other kids, and so a lot of the time I had a hard time in school for the most part. But anytime, like Kyle invited me there and I went, it was exactly what you said. I always felt welcomed, and it was just a very good and healthy environment to also practice a lot of my creativity, which I had in abundance, and me and Kyle got to have really good family time there too. We'd work on like goofy videos or play like kickball or something. And that was always a lot of fun, especially because this guy's so competitive. So I had to show him who's boss a few times. You know what I'm saying?
I believe that was through the Friday night club program. I think that's I would bring Blaze to.
Yeah, the club program. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a really good place. And as I've mentioned before, it's so important these days for people like you, but like pillars of the community, to try to share that message of culture and appreciation of things, because especially in American culture, I feel like we lose sight of that. And just like so many other people, I was born without like my culture, but the gift of that, at least, is that I had the right guidance. I had the right mentors to make me aspire to get there, to learn these things. And over time, I made it my mission to meet people such as yourself, to read, to travel, and to try to gain insight into these things that make me appreciate any circumstances, even when it's hard. Even this year, I've been extremely grateful for my circumstances, and that just takes, guidance and a lot of understanding. And like I wouldn't have made it here if it wasn't for people such as yourself. So that's why I'm really happy, like I said, to be here, to be speaking with you. I have so much respect for people who respect the community, the people, essentially, of the community. Yeah.
I think one of the many gifts about the community are the many role models that have been our mentors, people that have come before us and done a lot of hard work, a lot of living and learning, making mistakes, and but modeling how to work it through, and I think that's one of the things that I've always appreciated about the community, that we can live and we can learn and we can make mistakes, and it might be tough, depending on what mistake it was, but there's always going to be someone that's there to give a second chance. And I think the more that we can continue to kind of cultivate that, because it's so different, where there are certain values that we grew up with, but now, or like in the recent couple of years, where there are some things we can't take for granted anymore. I mean, we used to like kindness. Oh, we can't even take that for granted anymore. Someone thinking outside of themselves and thinking about what's good for another person. Like that has to be retaught. That has to be modeled again, and in ways that are that catches the attention of people, not only young people, all people. And but the exciting thing is that it's possible, and it's being done. It's not that it's not being done. But I think the more that there are more people who are mindful and aware and conscious and said, yeah, let's do this. Let's model strength through kindness and compassion. Then there can be the healing that's needed, and the awesome and fun and engaging work that people and families and communities can do. We got to do it.
Yeah.
No holding back now.
I think today is an interesting day to do this podcast on. It just happened to fall on the day where the election has been officially decided. So it's November 7th, I believe. And after 4 days of counting ballots, it looks like we will have a new president very soon in January. And I think it's been so long. It's just been like this, it feels like a period of being cast in shadow. At the same time, we've had to go through our daily lives and just put on our best smiles and our best, our most compassionate selves, and do work like that everyone's doing. But yeah, I think this is the exciting part, is that a lot of people really continue to do that work despite having someone so menacing, or that really encouraged hateful interactions. That there was actually this light at the end of the tunnel, as well as true action amongst across many different backgrounds. I think the diversity maps that I saw of the voting was really exciting. The young people, as well as women, like everyone really came together to make this change. A very, very, I would argue, essential for lots of reasons, change in our government, for our planet, for our people, and the way we treat each other. So yeah. Does anyone have any reactions, just like emotionally, about the time that we're in now? Now that today we know who we have a new guy.
It's exciting.
Wiping away the clouds to see the sun. That's Chinese saying, or like in Tai Chi practice, there are moves, or in various martial arts, not Tai Chi, I don't know, but there's a move called move away the clouds so you can see the sun. Oh. This is what I feel. That hopefully we'll be able to put aside some of these things that have been clouding our vision or getting in the way of our progress. And it's coming from both sides of, like, the leadership in this country that needs to be setting the good example for everybody to follow. And that example hasn't been unified. So if we're like that in front of the kids, for example, where we work, it would, of course, lead to them behaving the same way in a negative way. So I think if the kids have better examples from the adults in this country, or the people who are supposed to be acting like adults, then the country has a better future in store. And the kids are malleable. So they can change. And that means we have to change too. We have to accept people, no matter what political party they belong to. And wow, I'm really looking forward to that, and hoping that we can look at each other as, okay, people that may disagree, but not people that are enemies, or we need to wipe each other out. We, of course, don't need to do that. Yeah.
It's very unfortunate how divided we've kind of become as of lately. And just as you said, like, it's really important to still see each other as your fellow man. You may absolutely disagree with each other, and they may hate you for it, but that doesn't mean you have to reciprocate that feeling, because basically this year especially, and something I've learned from my readings, is that any ill will you wish upon another person, you only do that upon yourself. It just reflects back to you, and you're only making yourself more sick, more full of anger and hate. And that is part of the problem. No matter what you believe in, even if you try to follow a righteous cause, but you do it for the wrong reasons, you're not helping. You're only making things worse. And so I think that's just like a really profound way to go about it. Like, still just spread love and just be there for your people, no matter what,
Sometimes we talk about the good parts of ourselves, the darker parts of ourselves. But when I read that the dark too is part of me, I felt this freedom that I had never experienced before. And I would say studying Taoism for me made Christianity more real. like it was just it wasn't about, you know, dividing the sheeps and the goats, or dividing the good and the bad, and, you know, dividing the sinner and the righteous, you know, about the just, you know, the outsiders and the insiders. It was really about how do we see everyone as part of the whole. And that for me was a very pivotal point for me in my faith life, because I had been trying to, you know, how do I get rid of these things in me that cause me to hurt others or hurt myself or hurt the environment. But when I looked at it more of, well, maybe not try to get rid of it, because it's still a part of your whole. And so how do things change when you see something as not as a part of you and not something that you need to divide out? So I thought that was kind of an amazing thing. And reading stories, parables, Jesus parables, like things that we've read year after year after year after year, but then reading it through the lens of Taoism kind of gave it became richer. So it's been very interesting. I feel more chill. I feel more like more kind of like a relaxed, like there really isn't a hard line of right and wrong. You know, that it's all part of life, and how can we learn from it? And the other wonderful thing, Kyle, that your mother has introduced into my life, along with Auntie Norma, is private work. Joe Stump, sponsor us now. Okay. Yeah, so it's a daily practice, 7 a.m, meditation and guided questions. And one of the most important questions he asked was, what are values and beliefs that have helped you get you to this point, but that maybe no longer help you in terms of getting you to where your future self wants to be? And I thought, whoa, no one's asked that before. you know, kind of like just this thinking of, oh, everything I've learned in church, everything I've learned at Cameron House, everything I've learned from my parents, it must be good, it must be helpful, it must be an important value. But when that question was asked, and I had time to think about it and process it, some new thoughts came to mind. And I kind of realized that maybe I really wasn't living my own life, that I was kind of living a life that would be pleasing for others, but not necessarily who I feel I'm supposed to be, who I want to be, not because of any one external, but the internal part. So I think it's been amazing how studying with Uncle Chris in terms of what is Taoism, and doing this private work. I'm part of our church's mission study team. So we too were part of this team that's looking about what is the future of our church. And as a senior manager at Cameron House, we're doing this process called Achieving Strategic Clarity. And then beginning of next year, we'll start strategic planning for our organization. All these things, and then Joe Biden as president-elect, and Kamala Harris as vice president-elect.
Yeah.
Happening. It's like, so I forget we have COVID.
Just don't forget when you go out.
It's kind of like, partly, Kyle, what you were saying about even in the midst of this pandemic, right? Even in the midst of all these things that have been happening, what has been our strength? What's been at each person's core to help us navigate this time? And yeah, of course, it's been pretty impossible for some folks as well. But for those folks where we're part of communities, we're part of families, we have resources where we can navigate through this easier, then what is it that we do to bring along our brothers and sisters too, right? Again, for other people. We have this, okay, it's not about hoarding it, it's about sharing it and sharing it very freely and generously.
The concept of yin and yang is like the universe. And if you think about the universe, it expanded in kind of like a spherical shape. It's not like a square or anything like that, because that's just not nature. Nature wants to go out in all directions. So the yin and yang I think is a very clever drawing, because it says so much with so little. So it's a circle shape, and it represents wholeness or the universe. And the shapes within the yin and yang are, there's a black fish and a white fish that are intertwined so that they form two halves of this circle. And within the white colored fish, there's a little dot of black, and vice versa. In the black fish, there's a little dot of white. So if we think about our universe, there's a lot of duality in the universe. There's opposites. So, for example, good versus bad. There could not be something called good unless there was something called bad. And there could not be anything called up if there was not a concept of something going down. So that concept made it easier for me to accept and understand the world a little more. And even within something like the yin and yang, the white fish, for example, even at the part that has the most white, there's that little dot of black. So it means, to me, it just means that if you see something that seems really, really like a person, for example, who seems really, really good. Oh, I love that person. That person is my idol. There could be the chance that there's something that is dark and unseen about that person. So the Tao teaches not to be so extreme, but to kind of see things as a whole. I don't know if I answered your question.
Much more. Can you say a little bit more about, I don't think in your introduction you mentioned our connection in terms of martial arts, lion dancing, and do you want to talk about, I guess, your background in that, as well as what you remember about me when you were teaching me when I was a kid?
Okay. We were taught that you couldn't just join a school and then be thrust into the lion. You had to actually put your dues in order to be a lion dancer, because the lions represented your school and its martial arts. So if you sucked, that would affect the livelihood of the master. So I found that to be so cool, and it was something to strive for. So after a while, we did get to perform the lion dance, and it was after performing the lion dance for a while that I just started to learn how deep it was. And I thought, oh, I'm learning a lot here. But in actuality, no. It's like trying to dig the Grand Canyon with a plastic spoon. I just started learning about the surface of the ocean, you could say. and learning that it was wet. Okay, the ocean is wet, but you don't know how deep it goes. You don't know what's in the ocean. You just know that there's water on top and it's wet. The line dancing is kind of like that. So I had another teacher who asked me to, well, I asked him about line dancing. He said, oh, if you want to learn some more about line dance, here. And he throws this, he gives me this stack of magazines and old Chinese books. And he goes, yeah, there's some things about line dance in here. But I didn't really have the ability to read Chinese very much, other than, some characters in all the mahjong set, like the numbers 1 to 10. But back then, there were no electronic dictionaries. There was no internet or anything like that. It was looking up characters one at a time. So the words Kung Fu means hard work, and that's what I had to put in to kind of teach myself a lot about the art. The more I learned, the more I realized how deep it went. And I translated a lot of that material and developed a greater and greater appreciation for the art. So it was when you were young that some of the parents at the church in Cameron House asked me to teach their kids, because sometimes our American-born Asians are starving for culture to teach their kids. Teach us about Japanese culture or Chinese culture and Korean culture, Vietnamese culture, all these things that make us that we don't know. And my contribution was, I guess, starting to teach them a little bit about martial arts and lion dance, because I taught them that the two go together hand in hand. And it was kind of like an honor to be asked to teach that, even though I lacked a lot of language skills myself. But we did that for a while, and then you kids grew up and you got involved in other things like chess. Talk about that, Kyle. And other kids got involved in sports, and so we grew out of that. But I still kept my interest up, and found another mentor overseas who taught me just how deep the ocean can go, really. And it's beyond my ability to learn it all. It's just, you cannot learn all of that. It's just, the more I translate and appreciate the more I realize that I love this art, and it translates to other aspects of life too. So it doesn't have to be about lion dance or martial arts. It can be anything. And just having some kind of passion like this can make people reach such seemingly unattainable heights, and just bring up culture and whatever culture they have interest in. And I just hope that this work that I've been doing for the last few decades, I hope I get to share that work. I keep trying to add to it when I can, but life is busy, and we don't get to do everything we want, so we have to budget our time. That's kind of what I hope to do, because this book I've been working on is I have a lot of I have enough material. It's just now it's putting it together to be the book that I always wanted. And I have it on my computer, but it's when I show it to other lion dancers, they want to make this available to other lion dancers as well. So my mentor is asking me every now and then to just put it out there. I'm just kind of fussy about how it looks because I want it to look a certain way.
He's a graphic designer
too. So, yeah, that's where I am.
That's really interesting. So if I understand this right, does lion dancing help you create a deeper understanding for like any martial arts? Like it's not exactly its own thing or part of any one thing. It kind of goes in conjunction with all, more or less, in the philosophies of?
The lion dance is practiced by many styles of Chinese martial arts, mainly. It doesn't have to be exclusively. But the lion dance, I've learned, can be a tool to teach us about our culture. And it's a way of passing down that culture. So the lion dance we see during New Year's, if you go to the parade, you think, oh my God, I'm going to go to the parade. I'm going to see these big dragons. I'm going to see so many lions, and it's going to be the coolest lion dance show. And I'm going to get so much culture. It's nice to see, but it's not the deepest that the lion dance can go, because the lion dance can be used to tell our stories, and these stories can be, I mean, if you think about a culture that has been around for thousands of years and all the thousands of years of stories that people have, that's what the lion dance can help pass down. So the text I'm working on describes how lion dances can remind us of books that we've read, classics, or it can remind us of how we teach our kids to behave and take care of us when we're older. It can be used to test the martial arts skills of the lion dancers. If they don't have certain skills, they're not allowed to do this lion dance. It can be lion dances that are forms of protest, or they have a political message that's hidden inside.
Corey, you were talking about lion dancing and how it helps us unveil, connect with our culture. But one of the really awesome things that Corey and the team has been able to do with lion dancing is not only share and express Chinese culture, but he's also been able to use Chinese lion dance to bridge culture. So there's a couple that come to mind, but the one that comes to mind today, there was an incident in San Francisco between someone Black and someone Chinese, and so there was a lot of anger and violence and hatred in one of our San Francisco neighborhoods. And so the Reverend Norman Fong, who's one of our church's associate pastors, he's just retired as the executive director of Chinatown CDC. He has always been part of trying to bridge Chinese and Black communities here in San Francisco. And they were going to plan an event where they would try to bring Black and Chinese together. And Norman has always been, hey, if we're going to share our Chinese culture, we got to have a Chinese lion dance, and so he'll he'll often call Corey, like the day before the event or something. That's a good shout out for you, Norman. If you would just briefly, in a couple minutes, share about that experience. I think it'd be.
Like I said, the lion dance helps us to preserve our cultures, because within a certain kind of traditional lion dance performance, we use a lot of props that symbolize people from a story, or sometimes they represent things that certain concepts in Chinese culture, like the idea of, for example, a grapefruit, a pomelo grapefruit. That the word for the grapefruit sounds like the words for abundance. Or if you see lettuce in the lion dance, the word for lettuce sounds like the words for prosperity. So when the lion typically spits out the lettuce near the conclusion of the performance, it's not like a vulgar thing the lion is doing. The lion is sharing and spreading wealth. So I remember telling this to the people in attendance, and some of them were Chinese and some of them were African American. And when we were introduced and I was telling this story, I can see the audience members just kind of listening and thinking, okay, this is going to be another Chinese thing. But I told them a story of somebody that I respected, and this is a true story, and this is what this person did. This person saved a lot of people that were taken against their will, and this is how many times she did it, and this is the danger that she faced. And when I told the audience that this story that we were about to perform is a story about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, their eyes lit up. And how can a lion dance tell the story of the Underground Railroad? And it's something that I'm really happy that we've done with lion dances that we've performed that tell the story of other cultures, because I honestly have not seen that done anywhere. So I'm not saying that we're the only ones that have ever done it, but we're the only ones that, me in my small world, in my small vision, I have not seen that from other groups yet. And I hope that the lion dance can spread and live on, because people realize, oh, whoa, we can actually do this activity and help preserve our cultures, even though we live in Mexico, for example. We've done a lion dance with a story from Mexican culture for Spring Valley, because they had a large Latinx population, right? So people, when they realize, oh my gosh, he's telling this story from our culture, they think it's really cool. And that reaction is something that warms my heart. Yeah. It pleases me. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. And that happened this year or last year?
Oh, that was
a good number of years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between 4 to 6 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I think, the other part too about like Chinese culture, like sometimes there are, there are like Christians in our church that believe that, really shouldn't have anything of Chinese culture in the church, like in the sanctuary. So like to do a lion dance in the sanctuary, for some of our folks in our church would like, no, that'd be awful. You can't do that. But when Pastor Kimberly Elliott first joined our church, part of the welcome was doing a line dance, and
we did it to tell a Christian story.
Yeah, it told a Christian story. And so again, that was just and another time when an indigenous Native American group from up north came to visit our church too. Line dance was done, but sharing one of their stories to honor their culture.
Yeah.
So it's powerful that way to be able to create, to not feel tied down with tradition or what is supposed to happen or how this art usually is used to express, but to empower others to say we take ourselves down to present something that is for you and of you.
It's not like we want to appropriate their culture or anything like that. It's when we do something like this, it's to lift up,
give honor,
and to appreciate their stories.
Yeah, I just wanted to draw the connection between kind of, I mean, maybe even a realization just while you were talking and telling that story, is that I always thought of martial arts as both a way to stay fit and to exercise, and also but also an art form as well. But I never really thought about it as a mode of storytelling. And I see a lot of connections between kind of what you're doing in terms of bridging culture and really innovating in your field, and how that's similar to what I hope to do. I've just kind of started this journey in music and in rap music, and to do it in an as graceful way as you have, both of you, in the work that you do, is something that I hope.
I feel like y'all are my auntie and uncle now. You know, I've learned, you know. It's good. Like I just feel very good right now. It's really enriching, and it just, you know, fills my cup to hear these things. So thanks again.
Yeah.
Been good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
I wish everyone good health and gear up for next year.
Yeah, I'm out of tea, but I'll fake it. So,
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to America and the world.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Tea with My Uncle Irohs. Catch us every Monday on your favorite podcasting service. TWMUI is written and produced by me. Definitely rate and review us on iTunes, and follow me at Son of Paper on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Theme music by Keys. For more, visit facebook.com/unlockedkeys. Spill with y'all next time on Tea with My Uncle Irohs.